What if the most random numbers in the universe weren't random at all? Today, we're diving into the incredibly strange world of prime numbers, but we're going to look at them through a lens that completely transforms them from total chaos into a stunning piece of music. For as long as we've studied them, primes have always been the rebels of the number line. They just show up whenever they want with no obvious pattern. It's a kind of chaos that has fascinated and frustrated mathematicians for ages. They really do seem like these lonely, isolated outposts in a huge, vast expanse of numbers. But what if all that chaos is just an illusion? What if, instead of randomness, there's a deep, underlying structure, a kind of mathematical symphony where every single prime number plays a crucial, perfectly timed note? Well, that's the core idea we're going to explore today. All right, so how do we get from all that chaos to a symphony? Well, it all starts with a brand new metaphor for the primes, something called the harmonizing ladder. So I want you to forget the idea of a simple, chaotic line of numbers. Instead, picture a ladder climbing up towards infinity. Now, this isn't just a random collection of primes, it's a self-regulating system that is constantly adjusting itself. It's almost like it's alive. Okay, so this ladder, it's actually built from two pretty simple parts. You've got the rungs, think of those as its steps. These represent the basic math tools we already use to find primes. But the rails, oh man, the rails are what guide the entire structure, and that's where things get really wild. Let's move to those rails and see how this thing is built, because this is where the real magic happens. They aren't just holding the ladder together, they're creating a kind of dance through time. So, one rail is the forward timeline. This is what we're all used to. Numbers get bigger, primes show up as we count up. No surprises there. But the other rail is a backward timeline. Imagine it as a perfect reflection, like a wave sent back from an infinite future that keeps the ladder's growth in check, making sure the whole system stays in balance. And get this isn't just some poetic idea. It's a precise mathematical rule. The theory shows that the landscape of potential primes is perfectly symmetrical. For every possible spot where a prime could be, there's a perfectly mirrored spot on the other side. It's like the universe itself is demanding balance. So, we've got this perfect, symmetrical ladder, creating a system that seems to demand perfect pairing. Sounds great, right? But as this ladder climbs up towards infinity, a really deep and, honestly, fascinating problem starts to show up. This rule of reflection symmetry, it creates this powerful expectation, doesn't it? That every prime should have a twin, a mirrored partner. The entire system is built for pairs. But what happens when the universe just can't provide one? And here's the rub. There's this core rule in math, the prime number theorem, and it tells us that primes get way rarer the higher you count. So that raw material you need to build these perfect mirrored pairs, it starts to thin out. Eventually, there just aren't enough primes to go around. This is the huge tension at the very heart of this theory. On one hand, you have a mathematical structure that is screaming for perfect symmetry. On the other, you have the simple reality that prime numbers are becoming more and more scarce. So what gives? Does the whole system just break? The answer is no. It doesn't break, not even close. Instead, it does something incredibly elegant. It adapts. See, when the system can't form a pair, it creates something else entirely. It creates a soloist. So this is the crucial point right here. Those lonely primes we see scattered all over the number line, they are not mistakes. They're not random accidents. They are a necessary feature. They are the symphony's way of maintaining its harmony, a single instrument playing a solo to keep the entire orchestra in tune, even when a partner is missing. And this idea just brilliantly illustrates how the system evolves on these massive, massive scales. It's not just a simple ladder anymore. As it climbs to infinity, it becomes this breathtakingly complex landscape. When we zoom way out, that simple reflection we talked about becomes this massive interference pattern. I want you to imagine waves from every single prime number, all overlapping and interacting. That backward timeline is now like the surface of an ocean, a combination of all these waves at once. At this scale, you can't be certain where a prime will be. It becomes a game of probabilities. And this leads to a seriously mind-bending conclusion. This model can actually explain missing twin primes. Get this. Sometimes, a feedback wave from way higher up the ladder can travel back and land on a spot where a prime should be, and it creates destructive interference. It cancels it out. The missing prime isn't an accident. It's a structural necessity, a dissonant note that's required to keep the overall symphony from falling apart. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? What does this new harmony really mean? It means we can finally stop seeing prime numbers as these lonely, chaotic dots. Instead, we can see them as integral parts of a vast, self-regulating musical piece that stretches across all of mathematics. It's a symphony where every single note, every soloist, and yes, even every moment of silence, every single missing prime, is there for a reason, playing its part to perfection. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this deep and beautiful order is hiding in something as fundamental as prime numbers, what other hidden harmonies are just waiting out there to be discovered in the code of the universe? Hey, thank you so much for joining us for this explainer. If you found this as fascinating as we did, please take a moment to like, comment, and share. It really helps more people discover this amazing way of thinking. This explainer was brought to you by digitizinghumanity.com, the world's first digital graveyard.